There we go. So keep in mind, no one can know everything. Everyone in the library knows something. Most of us are big readers. You don't have to be a reader to be in the library, but maybe you know a lot about video games or movies, or even just the technology available. I think that we should do whole library advisory rather than necessarily reader's advisory. We'll use the terms interchangeably, of course, but it's not limited to only books. So talk to your staff. It could be in your department, hopefully throughout the library, and find out who reads a lot of romance, who reads horror or sci-fi. Generally, those genres are the ones that people read a little bit less. They're not always making it to the bestseller list. We mentioned Westerns is a big area for most librarians that we just don't know very well because we don't personally read it, but someone on your staff probably does. So if you get a particularly difficult book match request, which we'll talk about in a little bit, ask that person, say, hey, I have this reader. I think they like similar things to you. This is what they've read. What would you recommend next? Or if you're working on a bibliography or even a social media post, ask that person, what's the book that you loved most recently? Or if I were to start this genre, what would you recommend I do first? And again, this could be movies, this could be video games. You can use it in all kinds of different ways. Also invite staff to participate in staff recommendation displays. The easier the process is, the more participation you'll get. So if you have to submit a form and a review and find different copies, you're probably not going to get them. But if you just have a simple bookmark that they can write their name on and stick it in the book and put it on the shelf, you will get a lot of participation from other departments. Your part-time staff may not be always on the desk to answer these questions, but they are usually reading more than the rest of us. And they are the ones that are talking directly to patrons who may not come up to the reference desk, but they still like to check out at the circulation desk, and you see what everyone's reading, you talk to them about it. They actually have a lot of experience, even though most of the people at that desk would not say that they are readers advisory specialists, but they can do that too. So let them participate in the staff displays. The more participation you get, the more they'll feel a sense of ownership, and they'll point readers to that. They'll make sure it stays stocked so you don't have empty spaces. So it's nice to have people from throughout the whole library, especially those who don't get to interact directly with patrons. And I was saying, you have all these staff that are having great conversations but don't think of themselves as a reader's advisor. I like to say, don't think of it as promotion, think of it as a conversation. A lot of people have trouble with reader's advisory because they think of it in, capital R, capital A, reader's advisory, like it's a serious thing, you have to have your MLS. You don't. And yes, we have lots of resources to help you feel more comfortable in that, but don't worry so much about fitting a script. Just have a conversation with someone. You're probably already doing this, that if someone comes up and you're like, oh, I love this author, have you also read this book? The conversations we have at the checkout desk, conversations we have in grocery store lines or waiting for a plane. I've gotten reader's advisory questions everywhere. I just have that library face. But you have these conversations regularly. So it doesn't need to be a formal reference interview. You can just talk with each other like you would your neighbors, because you're probably what you're doing already, and that's how you'll feel comfortable. And that comfort will come out. People will be more interested in reading because they see how excited you are about it. So don't worry too much about, making it fit a script.